Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glassman's World. I'm Dan the Glassman, and we're about to get started on making some ghost white glass jellyfish. Basically, I'm just going to be using the ghost white color here, which um, it's a really nice color. It's really awesome to use, nice and smooth. It doesn't fester or boil at all. And when you heat it, the tip of it. So this is what it looks like when you buy it in a full stick. This is like a full stick or portion of a stick. It might have broke or got cut in half because that's kind of short. But these are usually a good 18 to 24 inches long. And when you use them and you put them in the flame, as you can see, it turns clear or translucent, almost iridescent. And to me, I find it, sorry about that, sorry about it just shifting in and out, but I find it to be of a kind of like a opalescent, a moonstone kind of color. And so we're going to use that for the heads of the jelly. Now, I don't use it uh, for the ribbon cane, as that really and this might be some of that ghost. But what happens is when you use the ribbon cane with the ghost white, as you can see in the very end, the tip right there, there's nothing there. And that is what happens when you use the ghost white for the tentacles. So we will end up using just an actual white, or maybe use something a little bit different. We could use one that's been pulled from more of like a caramel color, to where then that is completely solid all the way through to the tip and it doesn't go clear. And you'll be able to see some extremely thin, fine lines with something like this one here as the tentacles. And I believe that one was probably made. I don't think it was made with white, but it could have been made with either like the snow white or the dwarf white or the what is the other white we have? The snow white, the dwarf white, and the star white. Star white is a good one as well. So these are all different colors from different color manufacturers as well. We have quite a few colors to choose from. We have an amazing palette of colors to choose from, and so some of the whites, those are some of the whites that I like to use. So this is a bit of a solid color white. So as you can see, the tip on this one compared to the tip of the snow white, they both have that same kind of white color, but as you can see from the heat, the ghost white. This is probably either snow white or star white, and this is the ghost white. And as you can see, it goes ghost, or goes translucent on us. So let's make a few of these here today and get started. I've been making a lot of jellyfish this last week, and really just in the last couple days. Just yesterday, I made 6 of them, and then the day before that, I made 4. So we have a total of 10. We still aren't even at a dozen jellyfish made, but these were the first 4 that I have already introduced. Oops, dropped one on the floor. Oh, actually, it fell onto a box. Never even touched the floor. So these are the first ones that I showed off. And let's get the light on here. Make sure we got good lighting here. But these are some of the first ones that we showed off to you. And then we have the 6 here that I'll introduce to you as well. Okay. So these are the 6 that I made yesterday. I'll be out there in a sec. So we'll just go through with some of these first ones here. I love how this, and these are all made exactly the same, identical. So look at that color in there. That is the double Mai Tai. And as you can see on some of them, they strike just beautifully. And then this is also double Mai Tai. And as you can see, it's still got beautiful colors, just it didn't have all the purple. Now I might be able to put these ones back in the kiln and fire them up and get them all at a right temperature and bring out the purples on those. I might be able to. I've actually never tried that with the double Mai Tai. We already have the kiln on, so I'd have to have it start it cold and put the glass in cold and then bring it all up to temperature. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That one doesn't have all the purples popping out, but it's got some like yellow band and that purple. Look at this one. This one's got the yellow on top with the purple band. That is beautiful. And all the tentacles, look at that. They come out really, really nice. And here's the last one here, number 6. And they're not numbered or anything. If you see one that you like, you could try to ask me to pull it out, and I can try to send it to you. All of the glass still, only for the next few days, still buy one, get one free, guys. So if you're locals, you better jump on this deal right away. These are only 20 bucks too. Normally 20 and 2 for 30. If you miss out on the buy one, get one free deal, you can still always get 2 for 30, right? So, but buy one, get one free. That's the best deal. That's basically wholesale. You're getting 2 of them for basically at $10 each right there. That's the wholesale price. And most people got to purchase a bunch in order to get that wholesale price. So I do this for the holidays. So please take advantage of this deal before the end of the year. I'll let it keep going. You can order all the way up until midnight. So place your orders, get those comments in on the video below, or whatever videos that you watched and you've seen and you want to place orders, or send me an email at gardunioglass@gmail.com. All right, so let me pull up the video here and let's get started making these. Get our didymiums on. Always got to make sure we have our safety goggles on so we can see into the flame and be able to get rid of all the that sodium flare that comes off of the flame. That way we can look and see what we're doing. You guys won't be able to see any of that, but I am able to see what I can do, what I'm doing, and how I can work here. And then you don't. Hold on a second. What I'm doing and how I can work here. Got the double audio going. Just mess with that one day and just say the same thing over and over again, like the whole row, row, row your boat, 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 and then just do that over and over. That'd be great. It'd be madness for a second. All right, so we've got. Let's move, we got that one. So that'll be our center. Let's move these ones out. These are my good ones here. We'll actually put these off to the side because I do love the way those ones were coming out. So that combo works really well. All right, now let's make sure that we got the ghost white ready to go for the tops. And I may also show you what it looks like making one with the actual ghost white and pulling it, and show you that it just maybe I shouldn't. That would just be a waste of time. Like, it's just gonna not be anything. It just won't show up as anything. It becomes a ghost. It disappears. It vanishes completely. When it gets so thin, then you can't really see much of it at that point. All right, let me just make sure we got everything ready, good to go. All right, let's get a rod of some sort going here. And just cut this one in half. I don't know. It's kind of long. What did I do that? I gotta have a smaller one I can use. There we go. All right. So in order to make the jellyfish, you have to first make the ribbon cane and then pull the ribbon cane really thin and then pull it again even thinner. And the first pull is like about 4 or 5 millimeter, and then the next pull is at about like 1 or 2 millimeter. All right, so then we'll just pull a little bit of this color even thinner. And you have to always spin and rotate to make sure that you're keeping that spiral going on the inside there. And I'm just kind of floating it above the flame because it's so thin it doesn't need to have direct flame. Here, I'm gonna just do a few real quick. I'm gonna actually add a little bit more of a twist and a spiral to that center one there. It was just really straight. I didn't like the way it looked, but now it's got more of a spiral. And this is really, really small detail in there. I don't know if you can see any of that color or detail that's in there. We'll see if this even comes out. This might be too thin. I might have to actually make the whole entire ribbon cane and start from scratch. All right, so then we'll add our tentacles. Draw 1, 2, 3. At that point, the heat's gone almost around the whole entire rod, so then it starts to bend. 4, and then one more. 5 tentacles, smaller ones around that center one. That's what I do, 5 or 6. Adding too many makes it a little bit too complex and just too much. There's too much going on, and it makes it way too busy and overwhelming for the eyes, and it doesn't look like a nice jellyfish compared to just doing less. Less is more. That's all. And I've been working with these since like the year 2000, maybe even 99. But the year 2000 was pretty much when I first started to attempt to make these jellyfish. And by 2008 was when I really came to realize less is more. And adding less lines and detail on the inside was actually going to make it a lot better and make it just pop out. And then adding the ghost white on top, making sure you're adding enough so it spreads out real nicely, real comfortably. And I just fuse these two pieces together. So we just join the color to the spirals or the ribbon cane there, the tentacles. Make sure we add enough color at the end so we have enough to spread out for the jellyfish head or the bell. So I don't know if you can see the detail there on where the spirals are and then where that color is on the very, very tip. But we have to push all of that in to the clear glass now. So now we just spend time gathering the tip or the end of this flame or the glass here, the rod. 16 millimeter rod. It's a Scott glass from Germany. It is one of the most cleanest, clearest, translucent glass that's available. I make a lot of water drops that we give to water protectors from all over the world. 3,878 now gifted so far. And so I make a lot of water drops. So I choose the cleanest, clearest glass that's available on the market, the Scott glass from Germany. And that's what all my glass is made from. So any of the jellies, any of the balloons, the glass balloons, any of my original $5 mushrooms, any of the Amanita mushrooms, or now the new Super Mario mushrooms, anything I make, you know, any kind of glass. If it's made from the 16 millimeter rod, which is usually my base and my blank, this is my starting canvas. That's usually what it is. Now, if I'm working in tubing, then I might be using like Cymax or Kymax, I believe. Because I believe that's what my local supplier carries and what they purchase by the case in bulk. All right, so now this is all nice and molten. We're gonna stab the, or push this into, you gotta be careful with wording here, right? It's so weird. So we have to push this glass into the clear glass here and allow for it to all mushroom out on the inside. You just go directly in the center, start to push. Now the one thing about these is that they're clear and you can't really see them like mushrooming out, and you just got to kind of know that you know what you're doing and you've been making these for so long that they're just going to come out because they go invisible. The ghost white goes completely invisible when you're working it on the inside there, and you really cannot see what's going on when you're pushing it until it cools down a little, and then it'll come back and then you can see it. But it really does go translucent, so you're pushing an invisible mushroom at this point inside the glass, or an invisible jellyfish. But it's basically the same technique as a mushroom implosion, where all you do is you get the clear glass and force the colored glass stringer into the clear, and then it'll implode and mushroom out on the inside all on its own. We're just building up tentacles first with the ribbon cane in order to mimic or make this look like a jellyfish inside the glass. So that's the cool magic of it, is that it's not even a jellyfish, and that I'm just making it mimic what one would look like, all with just colored glass and clear glass. Now the one thing about this color is it's not as forgiving. If you accidentally trap any sort of air bubble underneath the bell or there anywhere where the tentacles are and where the cap of it, the head of the jellyfish, it'll show off where that air bubble is if there's any air bubbles inside. And usually when it gets nice and hot again, then it'll start to disappear again. Hey Boogie, when I'm done with this, I'll go and I'll figure out which movie you want to watch, okay?
I maybe want to watch a movie, but I also want to play. I also want to have the top quiz. Can I have a yes or no?
Yeah, but then you won't be able to have it later. So if you want to save it for later. All right, go choose a movie, and then I'll be out there in a sec. All right, sorry about that. Our son's wanting to either watch a movie or watch some shows on the tablet. So I got to set him up here in a second. So now we got this ghost white jellyfish inside of there with the white tentacles. And you might be able to see the difference in what they look like. I have to just continue to make this and make the flat back right now. So as this is fully molten, what I do is I try to figure out which side is going to be the front, which side is going to be the back, and let it sink down a little bit. It'll slump, then I'll flatten it. Allowing it to slump gives me a little bit more glass area to then really flatten it on the back. Then we put the blue, the cobalt. I believe this is a Chinese cobalt blue. It comes in the 4-foot glass rods, the really large ones. And I use these for backing. I do believe this comes from China. I'm not 100% though. I did not order this one. This one was ordered for me from an old acquaintance that eventually ripped me off. So sad. Why would you do that after years of good friendship and honesty, and then just like not pay me back for $1,500 in glass? That's a lot too. It's a lot of glass, man. So yeah, he ordered it for me. I don't know where it actually came from. Well, besides, I know the company that it came from, but I think their distributor, the maker of it, is provided from China. So I think this is the Chinese cobalt blue sticks here that are the really big, long 4-foot rods that are about a 12.75 millimeter. So this would be the size of the rod that I used to make all of my glass from. And then I went up to the 16 mil. But I used to make all of it starting with the 12.75. So for beginners and those of you, you may want to start with the 12.75 rod and work your way up to the 16 mil. Just for, a little bit more thickness on the rods adds a lot more weight to them, and spinning them in one hand, it'll just be a little bit more forgiving to start with the 12.75 over the 16 mil. But then, using the 16 millimeter rod right away will build up your muscles and allow you to then just spin a 12.7 rod with no problem. It'll be like nobody's business at that point. So then you got that blue glass on the back. I just mashed it on, pushed it this way, then pulled it off, pushing it this way and then pulling it off. So that way it allows for that glass to get pushed into where I'm going to be pulling it and pulling the loop around so I can grab that blue with it. And we got to melt that all that cobalt down and make it nice and flat and basically fuse it all together as one piece and get this on the flat back of this pendant here. So the melting process is usually the longest. Doing the applications, adding the color, doing the drawings or the details or anything like that, usually is a real quick thing in the flame, depending on the detail. There's some glass where you're just like doing detail work and detail work over and over and over for hours, sometimes for days. Some people will be able to put their glass in the kiln and just let it stay fired, or they can bring it down to room temperature overnight, then fire up the kiln in the morning again and bring it all back up to temperature so they can work it again and work on a piece for several days. It's pretty interesting what you can do with glass. I personally chose the route of making um, beautiful, affordable, and functional art glass. And I offer custom work. So all of my glass has some sort of a function or a purpose, and it's all affordable. I try to bring my prices as close to wholesale to the public already, and then I can even do deals from that point. I've learned my bottom line. I've learned, what the lowest dollar that I want to make on each piece for the amount of time that I've put into it. And with the experience that I have now, I've been able to speed up my process and be able to make these a lot quicker than I used to. So, keeping the price the same, I now make them just faster, so I just make more at that point overall. But then again, like I said the other day, it's not like I'm rich. It's not like we're well to do and everything. We're barely scraping by like everyone else. Trying to figure out rent at the end of the month for next month like everyone else. Glass doesn't always sell. People don't always need necklaces and pendants and frivolous items like this. It's all about the desire and when they want and when they're able to afford these items. And then there's certain times in the year which then kind of we've been conditioned to purchase gifts and purchase things for others. So, of course there's Christmas, which we just got through, and that whole buying season, and any time after Thanksgiving is good to start selling and doing all of your Black Friday sales and offering buy one get one frees and all that stuff. But throughout the year, you got New Year's, which you then, if you're wise enough, you'll understand New Year's. Most people have spent so much money, so it's good to do more sales. Beginning of the year sale, New Year's 2026 sales event, so you want to do something like that and start to promote and get ready for Valentine's Day, which is one of the biggest buying seasons and purchasing seasons for couples and individuals who are, into Valentine's. And, they just spend at that time. So, there's always the hearts that sell big time, and red color, red and white always sells big time around those times. And so making items like that, you then figure out how to continue to go through the year, So then after February, then you got March, which in March there's always St. Patrick's Day and all the green colored glass and all the four-leaf clover glass. So you got April is usually Easter, although April's been getting pushed back, which is weird, almost into May. right? And then May is just like, springtime and flowers and floral items and nature and things like that. And earth tones are really good. And also bright floral colors are really good. And then May, then you got June. And then June is usually like, that's when people get out of school, right? And there isn't really, I don't think there is much. Well, also in May there's Mother's Day. You can't forget Mother's Day, and all the items that you can purchase for your mom, all the flowers, all the roses, made in glass, different items like that. And then of course June is Father's Day, right? And also the end of the year for school and stuff, and the beginning of summer. And then July, of course, is the 4th of July, where we can then sell as much red, white, and blue items as possible. Also, around the time, we have Pride, and Pride is a big thing here in Albuquerque and in New Mexico. And they do the Pride Parade, and all the rainbow color is a big time seller at that point. And just throughout the year, people just love rainbows. Rainbow is a beautiful thing because it's the full color spectrum, and rainbows are everywhere. We just don't see them with our naked eye, and they can only be seen through light that has been refracted from a source, such as a raindrop, like water, which is beautiful. So there's always rainbows everywhere. We just don't see them until there's raindrops in the sky, or we figure out ways on how we can bend the light and refract the light ourselves in items like prisms and things like that. So then after July, then you got August. And August is when usually school starts up again. August and September. So you can always do your back to school sales and things like that. We have the state fair here, so at that point I can start in on things to sell for state fair. And then October is our international balloon fiesta, which that is one of the biggest seasons for me for selling the glass balloons. And that's something that I'm going to be focusing on year round for 2026. And we'll probably even make some glass balloons before the end of the year. We usually do a video on the last glass items of 2025. We'll be ending the year, and what'll be some of the last items that we make for this year. What are some, maybe we'll talk about some highlights of some of the cool projects we worked on, look at some videos from the past, and see, um, what kind of events that we went through, and different things that we've had to experience and survive through and thrive through, and whatever, been able to make it through. But all the videos that I've made in the last year. So that'll be pretty cool to do, and highlight the year's glass and all the stuff that we've made, and giveaways and all this stuff. So then after October, we got the glass balloons for October. Then November is when we get into the whole Thanksgiving. And at that point is when, by the time of like spring through fall, that's when all the markets start happening, the local markets, the crafts fairs and things like that. And that's when people are out just shopping on the weekends, and it's usually good weather. I mean, we may have some rainstorms and some windstorms from time to time, but usually here in New Mexico, we have some awesome weather. It's why Georgia O'Keeffe and Ansel Adams chose the landscape here for their artistic expression, right? And so we have beautiful weather here and beautiful skies, and usually people are out just shopping throughout the year. And then around, I don't know, September, October will come, and that's when the cold starts kicking in. You start to do more indoor kind of events, and just events in the mid part of the day instead of mornings. And then after November is December, and the whole shopping experience starts all over again. So I've figured out how to market myself in those ways throughout the year, and being able to keep things going. But there's times when, there's a slowdown for sure, and that's why I have to market myself with like buy one get one free deals and things like that. Because during Christmas, people are buying from so many other different places that everyone else is a competitor at that point. And the only way you can really compete is by beating prices and allowing things like buy one get one free deals to happen. I don't know if you can see those tentacles, but they're really, really light and really thin. I do want to make better ones, so we'll make a ribbon cane here. Whew. That kiln is hot. All right, I'll be right back as well. Give me one moment. I'm going to get our son all situated real quick. All right, he's already got himself situated. Whoa, that was crazy. Throwing glass around. All right, well, did I just lose the tip? I don't know if there was anything on that. There must have been. That's okay. Well, we got to make the ribbon cane anyway, so let me show you how a ribbon cane's made. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do is we're going to use, I'm wondering how the double Mai Tai is going to look actually. We're going to use a double Mai Tai in the center with some ghost. It might add a little bit of some like iridescent colors to the tentacles. That might look way cool. All right, let's try this out. Okay, we got these two rods. This is a big rod here. Right, so I might have to take off this whole chunk right here because there's a big old crack in the rod. I don't know if you can see that light just spinning around there just above the flame, but there's a big crack. I might be able to heal it out of the rod. But I'll probably just end up pulling that whole chunk of glass off right there. We'll see. We'll see if it just kind of magically goes away. Slowly gonna bring the flame into that crack there. See if I can heal it away and not capture any air bubbles in there. Oh, the video looks like it's all glitching out. Are you guys able to see this okay right now? My monitor is totally glitching out right now. So I don't know if we're having issues with the video quality here or not. I apologize if it's buffering or going out right now. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get rid of that whole crack, so we're just going to get rid of it entirely. And then that way we don't have any issues with the glass cracking on us later because it had some sort of a impurity there. Ah, just thought about something too. I don't have too much double Mai Tai. It's really short, so I guess we're just gonna make a little short one here. I guess I can move all these jellyfish out of the way too, so they're not just in my work area here. And put all those 10 together now. All right, so usually I'll just lay down an entire rod, the thickness of an entire rod on the clear, but I'm going to draw it on just like so. We're going to come up with a thin layer of that Mai Tai, the double Mai Tai. Oops. Sorry. I didn't realize I was just like blocking you guys out right there. Oh, you can see my daughter's bracelet she made me, best dad. So then I basically turned this into a flat back. So I flatten it like that, and then we'll flatten it again on the pad here. And then we get another rod of clear glass of the same thickness, and we're going to sandwich it directly onto that. Here, we'll just use the shorter one here. So what we've done is we've just added a little bit of that color on the back side or on one side of the rod, which is now going to be it's going to become the center of both of these, and it's shine through in the middle right there. And it's going to be flat. We're going to put it in between the two pieces of clear and then spin those together, and that's going to create a ribbon cane inside of the clear rod. And like I said, usually I'll put a thicker piece of color and make it a lot bigger, a lot longer. So we'll see what this does with just drawing the line on there. It might actually come out amazing. It might be the better way of technique. So we're simply going to just round this. So we bring it all back to the rod shape and get the back side of this all molten where the color is. And we're going to get this whole chunk of clear glass on this rod here and get about an inch or so of this molten, the same length as that, and we're going to just lay it directly onto it. And we just attach it. Oh, I forgot. I got this marbing tool here now. So now we got the two clear, connect it like that, and we just got to figure out which piece we want to take it off of. I'm going to take it off of the bigger, longer piece here, and then I can work it on the shorter, lightweight piece. So it's going to be a lot lighter than this big old 2-foot rod in my left hand compared to like a 1-foot rod in my right. So it'll be half the weight to work with. So now I'm heating up just the side that I'm going to cut it off of. More so having that heat on the outside. And we're going to pull it up to a point and also towards the center. Just like that. So now I can just join these two pieces together. And so now the trick is going to be to heat up this whole entire thing and get that clear glass to get flattened down. And as I do so, I'm also going to be pushing this rod upward, making this come down and getting that more centered. And we could actually work on doing that first. I'm simply going to hold it into place and try to just force that rod more towards the center there. So then we get that more centered. So I've forced it over and pushed it till now the center mark is pretty much lined up with the center of the rod there. And now we can round this whole thing, heat it all up. And I really don't know if we're actually getting a really bad recording right now. It looks like the recording is horrible on the computer, on the monitor here. If you're watching right now and the picture, the image is really bad, please let me know. I think it's popping in and out, fluctuating, pixelating. All right, so now we're gonna just heat up this whole thing and start to flatten it, keeping the colored glass parallel with the table there, so we don't accidentally smash it in a different way. We want to keep it flat on the center, on the inside there. And we want to allow that clear glass to kind of spread out and over the color and on the outsides of it. So just mash it onto the table there, flatten that clear glass down. So I basically mashed it down this way, mashed it down this way, keeping that line flat in the center so you can see the color there, but when we turn it like that, it looks clear. And you can see the color almost reaches to the edges, and we really want to make sure that it's all clear glass on the outside. So at this point we can even draw clear glass onto that crack there and make sure that no color is coming out, or flattening the clear glass more and making sure that it smashes down and really make sure that that colored glass is in the center there. I think I'll do that. I'll just make sure that no color is coming through, and I'm just going to follow the line on the sides with a bit of this 5mm rod, and really make sure that the color is buried in there. I'm doing my best to not trap any of that air by really getting it molten and pushing that glass into that crease there. And hopefully I didn't trap any air. But that should be all encased now. And if there is any air bubbles, then we just deal with it. Alright, so now at this point, we want to grab a piece of glass that we're going to utilize. I don't know, we'll get something like this. It's just a old tube from making some sort of a vessel or something, you know, a smoking accessory. We're going to get this all nice and molten, and we're just going to start spinning it. We're going to attach this to the bottom here, and this is going to become the ribbon cane. And you'll be able to see here in a moment how the ribbon cane forms. And the tube just kind of cracked and popped on me, so I'm going to heat it up some, make sure that there's no cracks in there before I utilize it. Because this is where basically it's going to become the handle to this piece. Let me get rid of that color glass that's in there. That way it'll just be clear on clear connecting. Let me just fuse those together. Start to heat up all that clear glass where the clear and the color is. And as you can see, I'm slowly twisting it, starting on that bottom portion there. And I'm just going to keep on spinning it in the flame and make it become a ribbon cane in there. And this is how it's simply done. So you just keep spinning and keep spiraling. I'm keeping it nice and thick, trying to keep that same thickness of the 16mm rod that we started with. And remember, this is the double Mai Tai that we're testing out. I do not believe I've ever used the double Mai Tai for the tentacles before. So we'll see how this comes out. And I'm hoping to use it with the Ghost White, but we might just do straight up double Mai Tai on top with the double Mai Tai tentacles. And just keep on twisting till we get that whole thing all the way turned into a spiral, a twisted cane or a ribbon cane here. Just gonna keep on bringing that around. All right, so this is what it looks like right now. You can see all that up on top. It's really molten and melted down to where you can see the detail of that twist inside. Everything here, you just see that twist on the outside. We're gonna melt that all down and get it nice and clean and clear. And then you'll be able to see what it looks like all the way through. So I'm just gonna heat it up. Try not to overspin it or underspin it and start to untwist any of this. We're just going to melt all these ripples down, all the little twists on the outside, and bring it all to a really beautiful, nice, clear ribbon cane inside here. This takes a little bit of patience, guys. I posted up on nextdoor.com today. One of the first times I was ever like, hey, you want to see what I worked on yesterday? And I just posted a link of some of the jellies I had made, I believe on the first day. And the first comment came back, you should give a warning that the video is an hour and a half almost. I don't have time for that. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Glass blowing is one of those things that it takes a lot of patience just to watch. Imagine being the one working on these things and making this stuff. And you got to sit here and spin it. You can't just shut it off. You can't just put this down and stop in the middle of it. You got to keep on going. So I understand what sort of patience it takes to sit through one of my videos and why I try to keep them at an hour or less, which is what we're working on right now already. And we've only made one jellyfish, and we're just barely getting through with the very first ribbon cane here. And I posted up, you know, that's why I shut up my videos down about an hour or so. You know, I try not to make them go for too long, but these videos can easily go for 2 to 4 hours. No problem. All right, look at that. Look at that beauty. We stuck them together there with that tubing, melted it all down, spun it. See that spiral? Look at that spiral. Look at how beautiful that is. So we got that whole spiral in there. And now we can turn it into the tentacles to make a jellyfish. So we do all of that in order to just finally be able to make a jellyfish. And as you can see up top, about, I say about right here, is where that ribbon cane kind of loosens up and turns into more of like just a little bit of a spiral on top. See how it's all beautiful ribbon right there? And then right there, like kind of just twist up. But it's still gonna work for the jellyfish. It just twists off like on its own pattern. It doesn't ribbon and create that same look as the rest of it has. All right, so now we're just gonna melt this and stretch it down to an even smaller rod here. And this is going to be the tentacles to the jellyfish. You know, it's going to be cool is that pretty much all that part that I don't really like is going to end up being the outside tentacles. And I'm going to bring all that down even smaller. Cool. All right, so now we're just going to bring this down to a good 5 to 7 millimeter thickness. And then go smaller. And I don't got to pull all of this. I just needed enough to make at least one jellyfish before I let you guys go. All right, so now we pull that one thinner. I don't know if you can see that difference there. Real thin compared to even thinner. Cut it off right there. So now we got two different thicknesses, as you can see. So we're going to use that skinnier one to draw on the outside. And we draw 5 little lines going around that center one. So then it looks like that. And you get your Mai Tai. We're just going to see what Mai Tai on Mai Tai looks like instead of that ghost. Now my tie is getting short. I'm gonna have to extend it onto another clear rod and go get me some new Mai Tai soon. We'll pull that down just a little bit. And you got to make sure you leave enough color, but not too much. You don't want to leave more color than what the body of the jellyfish is. But you don't want to leave too little either. And I can't really say what the ratio is. I just know. They look like this. Alright, then we push that in to one of these rods here. So we just get a clear rod. And just get this back up to temperature and push this in again. And let's see, we're at 66 minutes. So we're at an hour in already. So I'm probably going to make this one and then let you guys go. I'm going to continue working. I don't know if this video has been live and just bad the whole time. I don't know if you guys are able to even see anything really going on. To me, it looks like it's pixelated and just real shady right now. It don't look good at all on the monitor I'm watching. So I don't know if it's my phone glitching out, doesn't have enough memory to do a live stream right now or something. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is all messed up, the signal's messed up because of the weather today. I don't know. But if it looks okay to you, let me know, please, in the comments below. Alright, we're almost going to push this in. Get the jellyfish pushed into the clear glass, and we're going to watch the head or the bell of the jelly implode and just create this big old like mushroom cap on top. Alright, so we're about there. Get this nice and molten so we can push that in all the way in deep. Grab our color here. This is what we built up, all the tentacles with the Mai Tai on top. And get that prepared to push. Get this molten. Find the center. Push it in. Direct it directly in the center. Get that up in there. Get all that color in there and all the tentacles. But don't go too far and too deep. And cut it off right on the tip. Keep that nice and round and at that same thickness. So that's ready for the next one to go. Get that air bubble out. Maybe we'll do just one more before I let you go. Because this is all about the ghost glass jellies and we only did one. I needed to make new tentacles so I could get more of the ghost jellies going. So I do need to test that out. So we'll do one more after this one. And then I'll let you go. So thank you for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it. I see there's a few of you watching right now. Or you have been. You've been coming in and out. Thank you so much. I'm just going to get this air bubble melted out of here. Then we're going to flatten the back side of it. So I'll have to decide what side will be the back side of it. We'll add the blue, the cobalt blue to the back to make it look like it's completely submerged in cobalt blue glass. But that is the illusion, is there's just a little layer on the back side to make it look like this entire thing is inside of cobalt blue glass. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but When you look at it like this, it looks like the whole thing's just floating in blue glass, but it's all clear with a blue background. Melting the air bubble out probably takes the longest, besides melting down the cobalt blue for the backing and getting that flat again. But as I was saying earlier, it's really the longest process is the whole melting down process. Adding the different details and all the work and stuff, that's usually done quite quickly. Alright, you know what I'm noticing is these Mai Tai tentacles kind of disappear on me. I hope they come back. They better come back. Alright, let's not lose the heat. Let's just go with the flat back on this one here. Figure out which side we want the flat back. Let's get this to a nice white molten state again. I see what side is the back for me. Right there. Boom. 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 Right there. Let it slump. Let it flatten on the back side. Bring it up. Get your cobalt molten. Hold this in a way to where it's not going to slump over that way or that way. So I normally just kind of hold it vertical, but then it can slump forward on me a little bit. I just don't want to make it fall crooked. And now it's set up that it doesn't matter. So now it's just clear. As you can see, it's just a clear jellyfish inside with the flat back. We're going to add that layer of cobalt on the back side here. Which is just that simple. Just add a molten layer of colored cobalt blue. I melt this down and just make sure that's ready to go for the next time. So I'm not having to worry about melting that down on the next time and worrying about all the cracks and it cracking more and popping and all the creases that will allow it to crack and pop. So then we get this molten. And there's a big chunk of it on the bottom, so we need to flatten that down. And that'll help to spread it out in a nice round fashion here. So then I flatten it and then it rounds out. Kind of going for a teardrop shape with that cobalt blue on the back. And just get the sides of the cobalt molten right along the seam line where the clear glass is, and that allows them to both sink into each other and become one. You got to follow the seam underneath on that bottom portion of the blue there. Looking at it straight on so you can see where you need to flatten it. And then heating up that back side so you get rid of all the tooling marks, all the rings from the heat and everything. Get the punchy molten, attach it. You always want to make sure your punty is clean too, just clear glass. You don't want color on there, or else it might attach to the bottom of your punty and you have to clean that off. Or you leave it and then it looks like there's a mistake and a flaw in your pendant. And then I have the punty nice and straight with the pendant, but this rod is crooked on top. So I just have to go with it until it gets molten again and I can pull it nice and straight. So now it's getting molten, now it's getting to a nice straight. Okay, now we're gonna heat up the back, get that cobalt to pull up into the loop, keeping that cobalt nice and straight, pulling it up, bringing it forward towards the mushroom, or the jellyfish, using the flame to then bring that cobalt blue on the inside of that rod back around, keeping that blue to like just stay wrapped and it just falls into itself like that. Without pinching, of course. Keeping a hole there for the pendant loop for the necklace. Getting the glass to attach there. Using the reamer to keep the hole nice and open. And then just cleaning it up as best as you like it. Try to get rid of any of those seam lines and everything and really just make it all flow as one piece. Making sure it's nice and straight. Looking at it at all the different angles. And voila, that's done. Heat up your tool so you can grab them. I got my tweezers here. Grab it on the inside of the rod so I can actually let go, and that's got a nice grip. Snap it off. Clean up the punchy mark with the flame. It still looks like a bad video here, guys. I don't know if what you guys are watching is just all pixelated and blurry. I'm sorry if it is. Hopefully you can see the detail work and stuff that I'm showing you. And we heat up the back to get rid of any tool marks, heating up the punchy, allowing that to become a sunset in glass where it just goes from really bright and that brightness drops down to the bottom. Get it in the kiln. And let's make one more. That kiln is so hot. All right, so we're gonna do the tentacles we have here with the big tentacle and with a ghost white bell for the head on the jelly. If you're attempting to do this, I would not recommend using this high of a flame for this little tiny detail work. I would really suggest bringing your flame down. But I've been doing this for so long that I just use the edge of the flame. I figured out how to use the edge of the flame to get it to work for me. Alright, then we get the ghost light. I put the ghost light on the tip here. Alright, then we add that ghost light on the tip there. Make sure that's nice and straight before I push it in. If it's crooked, it could crack when you're pushing with all that force. it does take a lot of force, and you got to be very careful because you're working with glass that can break and hurt you. All right, so now we got that nice hot flame going already. And we get this molten right on the tip again. And we'll push that color that we just built up into this clear 16 millimeter rod and create the jellyfish once again. I do hope you can see this process and that the video is not pixelating. It could just be my computer is about to shut down and the monitor and not having fun today. I don't know what's going on. But hopefully my camera is doing its job and recording this really well. Or my phone cam. I don't use anything special, just use my cell phone. And I just do the best I can, just go live, raw, and unplugged. Nothing scripted here, guys. So there might be accidents. You might see me burn myself, cut myself, hurt myself in different ways. Hopefully that never happens. All right, now we're gonna push all the color that we built up onto itself. And then we gotta just push this like we know what we're doing because it's gonna go clear. That ghost white is just gonna go clear on us. So you just gotta pretend like, okay, we can see the cap on there, the bell. All I can really see is the tentacles in the very bottom of it. All right. Melt out the air bubble. And now after this one, we're gonna call it a day, guys. We got the ghost white done for this jelly. I'm gonna continue working and making more. I'm gonna go check on our son here and just make sure he's doing all right. Mama's taking a nap right now. She's not feeling good, so you can send her some well wishes if you'd like. And I'm gonna probably get myself something to eat, some lunch, see if my son's hungry too, and I'll get back on the torch. We'll make some more jellies here. And maybe what I'll do is I'll keep that reveal for Saturday. As I had said before, we're just gonna make a whole bunch of glass throughout the week and then do a reveal at the end of the week. But then again, it's kind of nice to just reveal what we made at the beginning of every video, which gives someone gives everyone, you know, something to look forward to on each video and seeing, well, what did you make last night? All right, almost got the air bubble out. So now I'm at the bottom here. I notice I trapped a little bit of an air bubble in here. What I'm gonna do is just heat it up and continuously to heat it to allow that air bubble to round itself out. That will be the most safest state for an air bubble to be, is in a round state instead of stretched out and elongated, because it can create cracking at that point. If it's rounded, then it'll be a little bit safer. And I don't know if we can really hide it, but we'll try to put that on the back side. And you know, sometimes jellyfish do get air bubbles caught up inside of them and underneath them. which is a natural occurrence, so it's not that big of a deal. I wish you could see what I'm seeing, but I don't see any of the jellyfish, none of the Mai Tai. Everything went clear. All I see is that air bubble in here. I don't think you can see it because it's glowing super hot, but I got to keep it super hot for that flat back, so let me just flatten the back here. And then we'll add the cobalt blue. And in this process, it's going to cool down, and then we may be able to see the colors come back and right before our eyes. Alright, and then we'll add that cobalt blue on the back. That's going to bring it out even more. Help to see the tentacles on the bottom there. And this Mai Tai may not be the best for tentacles. It might go visible also. Invisible, sorry. And might become completely impossible to see if it's thinned out too much. So sometimes I still have to experiment with these before I can get them right. But then once I figure out the color combo, then I can set it aside like I did with these two here. And then I can just make them all the time. And once I figure out this color combo on which one's gonna work with the what is it? The ghost white for the bell or the head of the jelly. Once I can figure that out, then it'll be good. Maybe I just need to use white. Just the pure white with the ghost white. Alright, I'm going to just flatten that cobalt blue to help it. And round it out, melt it down. Following the rim around the whole sides here. I'm probably working on an hour and a half here. Yep, 3 minutes till. Alright, I'm definitely going to let you guys go after this one here. It's been an hour and a half. Someone already complained today that an hour and a half is too long and they don't got time for that. I was like, alright, well, not my problem. I'm just sharing it. If you want to watch, then you're welcome to watch. You can fast forward. I also let the person know, the individual know, that I made 3 separate jellyfish, and they don't have to watch all 3 of them being made. You can just watch the first one, so you can see all the prep work and all that process, and then see how it's made. Or you can just like skip through it. You can watch it in like a 2x process, where it's twice as fast, 3 times as fast. And most people these days anyways, they only got an attention span for like a minute or 2, and then they want to scroll to the next video, right? The next video meme. The video meme killed the video. Video meme killed the video. Alright. That one came out nice and wide, big. It's a good size right there. I like that. Flattened out a little bit in the front. So I'm going to melt that down and bring back the roundness so it magnifies that better. That should be nice and round again. Then we can get it on the punchy and then form the loop, get it off the rod, and we'll put it in the kiln and call it a day. So I appreciate you all for tuning in and watching. Didn't have anyone come in and say hi on the chat, but that's all right, no big deal. And then hopefully I'll come back with a different video and not be making all these jellyfish anymore. But I did want to show these ghost jellyfish and how they look and the process of them, because they're really cool. As long as you can see the tentacles, which that's the thing on these. I don't know if that Mai Tai is showing up. It might not be the best color for tentacles. And that happens. It looks awesome for the head or the bell of the jelly, just like this one does, the ghost white. But to use it for a thinned out piece of glass for the tentacles, it doesn't work. I don't know, maybe you can get it to work. You can try it out and see. Those of you who are glass artists and work with lamp working, borosilicate glass, you're welcome to try it out and see if you can get that Mai Tai to work for you. Might just have to go back to the caramel or the butterscotch. All right, so now we'll give you the last looks there. This is what it looks like, guys. That ghost white looks awesome. Tentacles. Where are the tentacles? You can barely see that center one in there. So like I said, these first two might just be experimental, and I'll just have to make another ribbon cane. We'll use that for something else. Not a big deal. But sometimes we got to do that. It's all part of the trial and error process here, and learning what works and what doesn't. All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this little adventure here, trying to figure out the ghost white jellyfish. That cap looks awesome. I mean, once I get the tentacles right again, then it's game on, and I'll be able to make a ton more, because all it is adding that ghost white for the head or the bell of the jelly. All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to drop this in the kiln. Maybe putting this in the kiln will fire up that Mai Tai, bring out some purple lusters or something like that. That's what I was really hoping for, getting those purples and other colors to come out. So, all right, putting it in the kiln. Ooh, that kiln is hot. Let's see where it's at real quick. Oh my gosh, it's at 1180. We normally fire at 1080. So I think I can safely turn that off. And we're going to call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I'm Dan the Glass Man, and you've been watching The Glass Man's World. Have a good one.